Finance, and I have a very special guest today, Dr. Travis Zigler. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Glad to be here.
Really happy to have you here. Would you mind giving our listeners the 411 on who you are and what you bring to the table?
So, doctor by trade, I am an optometrist. So I graduated from optometry school in 2010, and my wife graduated optometry school in 2011. And, to give you guys just a brief backstory, we were optometrists for about 5 years working for somebody else. But as any entrepreneur, I'm sure most of your listeners are entrepreneurs. That's why they're listening. And you get that itch and you can't work for somebody else. So we did the 3 things you're not supposed to do. We quit our jobs. We moved across the country from Ohio to South Carolina. And then we started 2 practices. And whenever you're starting new practices, you're only seeing like 1 patient an hour if you're lucky. So again, entrepreneur bug, was getting bored. So an email came across in my inbox and it was all about how to sell on Amazon. And so we took this course on how to sell on Amazon and we started an online business at the same time as our 2 practices. And, the rest is kind of history. 2 years later, we sold our practices after building them up. And then we went full-time in this. So we've been full-time in this for about 3 years now. And our brand's called I Love. Just to give you a brief number, we've kind of grown 20% year over year. And we should hit around 4 million this year. So it's something that it's been an incredible business to build, but the more important part of the business is not the revenue number, but the impact that we're having on people. So we're on a mission to heal 1 million dry eye sufferers naturally. And so we're at about 70,000. So we've impacted 70,000 lives in this debilitating disease, that dry eye, that a lot of people don't know about. And you guys are probably asking yourself what dry eye is. And if you're asking that, that's a good thing. That means you don't have it probably. But we come out with natural and organic products to kind of help that. And then as a result of the success we've had with I Love, people were asking us to help them with their Amazon, and more specifically their Amazon PPC. And so since I'm a millennial, we have to have a side hustle. The side hustle is that agency side of things. So we actually help brands scale on Amazon using Amazon PPC.
That's great. So really, everybody always wonders, how do they sell on Amazon? You're going to be able to give us the ins and the outs today. How to do that?
We can go from beginner to advanced, whatever you'd like to go over.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I think the other things, just to give our listeners what we'll get into the show as it goes on, is you've built up some great followings as well, right? Could you talk just real quick about that, and then we kind of tease it a little bit for us?
Yeah, so we've kind of built up 2 different followings, one for the agency and then one for the actual brand. The brand came first, of course. That's kind of what we've built everything around. And I Love is our brand name again, the Dry Eye Show in the Dry Eye Syndrome support community. So we have the Dry Eye Show on YouTube, and it's at about 45,000 subscribers at the time of this recording. And then our Dry Eye Syndrome support community on Facebook has about 12,000 in that group, that Facebook group, not the Facebook page, but a Facebook group. Very, very active, very involved, lots of views on the YouTube channel, lots of just comments, shares, everything you can think of inside that Facebook group. And then that's led us to it's helped us build an email list of about 60,000. And so we just continue to create this kind of snowball effect that it's very hard to get started. But once you start doing it and you're persistent with it, it just starts to take it's a flywheel. Once you get the momentum going, it's like a train. Once you get that momentum going, it just keeps going. And then, so about a year ago, we started doing it with the agency side. And so we came out with a YouTube channel called Amazon PPC Pros. And then we have a Facebook group called Amazon PPC Pros. And right now, at the time of this recording, we're at about 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, and then about 1,000 in the Facebook group. And there's not much activity going on because we're still trying to create that flywheel right now. And so it's helped us build our email list to about 2,000 for that agency side. But the key thing that I'm trying to tell your audience with this is persistence. We come out with a video every week. We're involved with the Facebook group. We come out with a video on that every week. And so we're just trying to create this momentum and get it going, because once it goes, it goes. And it can take, anywhere from 2 to 7 years. And that's where I see most people kind of falter with audience building, is they think it's going to be overnight because they hear about these people getting 1,000 leads a day. And that's not going to happen. I was discouraged because we were only getting like 5 leads a day, but now we're getting up to 300 leads a day, and we're 4 years into this now. So it builds up. So just that's the following, I guess, and a little piece of unasked for advice along with it.
So when you build these followings, do you specifically pick just YouTube and Facebook groups rather than getting into like Instagram or Twitter or anything like? Are you like, rather than doing them all, do you just say, I'm going to focus on these specific ones that work for your business best?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the key to that is, what do you use and what does your target demographic use? So in the eye love and dry eye space, it's 61-year-old females. 61-year-old females love Facebook. And so that's why the group was born there. YouTube just kind of came as a result of us just trying to syndicate our content across a couple different platforms, and ended up taking off. We had a video that hit, and then, as if anybody knows YouTube, when you have one video hit, you can then kind of cascade it to a lot of videos after that. And then with the agency side of things, most of our clients are males 25 to 44. And so they're on YouTube a lot, but we also wanted to create the Facebook group to create that community. And that's where I am. I spend all my social media time on Facebook and YouTube. So if you spend all your time on Instagram, do it on Instagram. Wherever you do it, it should be somewhere you want to be, not somewhere where you're trying to be. So we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram, but we don't do anything with it because I don't Twitter, I don't tweet, I don't do Instagram. So look where your demographic is, but also look what you like to do, because if you don't like to do it, you're not going to do it. And we like to do YouTube, we like to do Facebook groups. So that's why we continue to snowball those.
And what about Facebook pages versus Facebook groups? What's your thoughts on those?
Yeah, our Facebook page is sexy. It's got 45,000 people that follow it, but there's nothing there. It doesn't show up. You can we go live. We'll do a live video on our Facebook page and get 5 people joining us. And then we do it inside the group and we get like 1 to 200. And so it's a huge difference between the engagement. We still go live on the page, but it's more of like going live at the same time as we're going live in the group. And so we use an app called StreamYard. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you can go live across YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, pages, groups, everything all at once. And so it's really nice for if you're syndicating across platforms.
So did you build your Facebook page first and then built the group inside the page?
No, the only reason I built a Facebook page was to do ads. And so we actually built the group first, and then we built the page second, just so we could build ads around our business. And that's the only reason we have a page. We don't pay attention to the page. It's just kind of there.
And then once you get somebody to like the page, that's when you invite them to the group. Is that kind of?
Yeah. So you can't retarget somebody on Facebook and send them to a Facebook group. So we actually created a page on our blog that was like, check out our free Facebook group, Amazon PPC Pros, for example, and you'll get an advertisement on your Facebook that says, check out our free Facebook group, but it clicks over to our blog, which then has a button that clicks back over to Facebook to then join the group, because that's how Facebook wants you to do it for some reason.
And then once you get the group, you feel like these people are actually your audience. They're locked in. They want to hear what you're going to say because you're the expert, and that's where you get the buy-in, right?
Yep. So we got the group, we got the subscriber on YouTube, we got the email lead. We try to build a push notification list on our website too. And then we have the pixeled audience on Facebook and YouTube. So those are all 5 big audience builders. And those are assets. People don't realize, like, those are just as valuable as a product. You could have a product that sells $100,000 a year and it might not be as valuable as your 60,000 person email list, because that's a huge asset for a buyer, but it's also a huge asset for your business.
So building that email list, will you talk a little bit about that, what the process was of building the email list and where you gained emails from? Like, I would imagine, my guess is everywhere, when you sold a product, when you made a contact, like everywhere, but what was the process of creating the email list?
Yeah. So first of all, with email, you hear people talk about email's dead, and email is far from dead. Email is probably your most valuable asset you can still build, next to a text messaging list, which has been going crazy as well. But emailing, it's just simple. figure out what your audience wants and give it to them. How we figured it out, we asked them. We asked them what they wanted. We target dry eye. And so we gave away a dry eye book. And it was that simple. So every time you're on our blog, on our website, we have a pop-up that says, get our free dry eye book. They put their email in, they get an email back that says, here's your dry eye book. It's a PDF download, or you can read it online. And then for the agency side, it's a free Amazon PPC course. And that's kind of the initial scale on our value ladder. So if you're doing under 25,000 on Amazon per month, we recommend the free Amazon PPC course, because what you're going to do is you're going to trade time for money. It's free, but it's going to take more of your time. Then we have a paid course that is more for people doing 25,000 and up. And you're going to trade money for time. So you're going to pay me for that course. You're going to pay for software to help you with that course. And then you're going to have more time back. And so you can afford that because you're growing your business. And then once we get to about 50,000 and up, that's when we start talking 50,000 a month and up. That's when we start talking to people about having our agency take it over or not, because again, you're trading more time, or you're trading more money for more of your time back. And so it's all about getting them in that value ladder. But to get that email address, give them that free course or that free book. And that's kind of what we do on both sites.
So I love how it all came together. Like you're talking about all these different steps and how to build. And I could tell that somewhere in there, you really know how to scale things. So can you talk about how you decide, like, is it just working on your business and that's how you scale? Like as you're working, you're like, hey, I think over here we should be working on this. This would make every life easier. So we're going to work on this. Or was it an actual process where you sat down and was like, okay, this is where I want to get to. How do I get to it? Like, how do you scale in particular?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the answer to that question is just, last year we about sold our business. We about sold I Love, gave up on the mission because we were overwhelmed and we were burnt out. And we weren't in a mastermind last year. For some reason, we usually were part of a $25,000 mastermind. We didn't do it that year for some reason. And my headspace just wasn't right. And I decided to, we were at a conference and the guy that led the mastermind was on stage. And he said something during that talk that pretty much made me say, we can't sell. And we rejoined his mastermind, had a sit down with him. And he pretty much said, you're doing too much. You're just not doing the things that you value. And you need to eliminate everything that doesn't add value to your business. You need to automate the other stuff that's necessary, but that you can automate with software. And then you need to delegate the rest and only do what you want to do. And it sounds so simple, right? But it was just like, wow, we're doing a ton of stuff that we just shouldn't be doing. And so we literally just stopped doing it, or we automated, or we delegated it. And most of it was elimination. We just eliminated things that weren't adding value to our business. And we simplified the business again. We do 3 things well: Amazon PPC, content creation, and building our audience. And if what we're trying to add to the plate doesn't add to those 3 things, we eliminate it, or we don't do it. And so we have a team of in I Love, we have a team of about 5. I'm the CEO. I focus on strategy, content, getting our name out there. My wife's the COO. And then we have 3 people that help us out: an executive assistant, a marketing officer, and then our customer service. So scale comes to us in simplicity. A lot of businesses try to overcomplicate everything. And when you go back to just the simple, basic things that you do well, that's when you really start to scale. So whenever we have a customer, every year we usually do a poll to our audience, like a survey, and we ask them why they do business with us. And there's always 2 to 3 things that float to the top. It's, I found you on Amazon. It's, your YouTube videos were more helpful than any doctor has ever been for us. And your community that you've built. And so we know every year that that's what we need to focus on. And last year, all we focused on were sales. And when you focus on sales, it's just not fun. And that's why we got burnt out. But when you focus on service and serving the customer, or serving whoever you're serving, then that's when things really take off. And that's when you can scale. Like right now, we're, just focusing on those three things. And the rest is history. Going back to the agency side, people find us on YouTube, and they just, we're not that big yet on the agency side. We're sizable as far as client load and everything, but our list isn't that big. But whenever you ask somebody like, how'd you find us? Why do you continue to hang around us? It's always, we found you on YouTube and we find your content incredibly valuable. Most people will talk about strategy without giving up the like really juicy stuff, but we throw it all out there. We give it to you and you can do what you want with it. We give you the exact strategy and things that we do in our agency and in my brand I love. And so that's all we're doing, is just serving.
So I love that. I love the serve mentality. I think it's so important because, as you grow your business, it's really important to give back. And usually people think give back means money, but sometimes it does. It means finances, but a lot of times giving back can be giving back your knowledge, and paying it forward to others. And I think that's a big part of it. And it sounds like you really have a servant's heart, and you like teaching and showing them like, hey, this is what I figured out, and here's how you can do it. So with that being said, how about you give us a crash course on Amazon pay-per-click? I think it's interesting that, Amazon is just one of those businesses out there that has to be, if not the biggest business that makes an impact on, I know my life every day. Packages show up 3-4 times a day. And, we're definitely on the other end of it for sure. I'm always interested of what it takes to really be successful at it. And I think, like anything, I can imagine that a lot of people think that, oh, this is going to be easy or a quick way to make money, but everything takes time and it takes energy. So would you walk us through it, please?
Yeah. So let's start with just the basics. So like, very simply put, if you're not on Amazon and you're already selling physical products, you need to get on Amazon. They're going to be doing $500 billion a year pretty soon. I think it's going to be either next year or 2022, because they're already in the $350 billion range. So they tend to increase 20 to 30%, more towards the 30% year over year. So if you're not on Amazon, you need to be, because that's where people are buying. And people go to Amazon to buy. And it's 2 clicks of a thumb, 2 presses with the thumb, whatever on your phone. It's so easy. They've made it so seamless. And to give you an example, one of our products on Amazon converts at 40%. On our website converts at 3%. And so that difference in conversion rate is huge. And it's because how simple Amazon makes it. So if you're not on Amazon, you need to get on there regardless. And even if you don't focus on it, you can still just be on there, because people, even if they see your Facebook ads to buy on your website, they're going to check Amazon before they do that. And the reason they do that is because it's easier. And if you're not on there, they may even buy your competitor. So you have to be very careful with not being on Amazon if you're not. So the key thing with Amazon is there's 3 keys. You have to have superior customer service. You have to respond within 24 hours, weekends, holidays, everything. So that's kind of key number 1, or your account can be suspended. Key number 2 is a great listing. So you need to have great photos. You need to have a great title, and you need to have great bullets and description. It's a very content-rich environment for a listing now. And so lots of great photos are huge. We're in the process of revamping all of our photos right now for the holiday season. And we, of course, test them. But, hiring a designer to design your photos, hiring a photographer to take your product photography is just so key. And then third, ratings and reviews. You have to have ratings and reviews if you want to compete on Amazon. And it's a no-brainer. And to get those, you need to build your audience. And everything comes back down to building your audience. A lot of people think they can just sell another widget on Amazon. And I'm here to tell you that it's not the game anymore. That was the game back in 2014. And people say Amazon's harder now. Amazon's easier now if you're a real business. It's harder now if you're trying to get rich and just sell a widget. So if you're just trying to sell, a rubber spatula, which is the common example in the Amazon world, why is your rubber spatula better than the other 50,000 that are on Amazon? And if you can't say how it is, then you're not going to sell it. Whereas we focused on building that audience, serving that audience, and then asking them what they want. And that's when we release on Amazon. So our release schedule on Amazon is when we have a brand new product, We make sure we have the photos designed well. We have the listing created well. We have no reviews. There's two things that you can do on Amazon. You can enroll in what's called the Amazon Vine program and the Amazon Early Reviewer. That will get you about 36 reviews right there. And that's a great starting point. But we also launch to our audience at the same time. And we give it to our audience. They actually buy it at full price. And we give them a rebate once they've bought it. And we give that rebate back to our store. Now, we don't ask for a review. We don't say we're going to give you that rebate in exchange for a review. And that's key because Amazon is very against giving anything for a review or incentivizing a review. But we just upfront give them a mail-in rebate for our store, and then they bought it at full price on Amazon. Now, we ask them for a review through Amazon's system after that to get our review count up. Once we have that review count up, then we focus on Amazon PPC. So Amazon PPC, we usually start at around 7 reviews, and then it tends to get better and better as we climb. And then we just relaunch to our audience over and over again. So what we do is we'll put the price of whatever product we're releasing at the price we want it to be. So we just released an eye cream and it's $40. But what we did is we put a 50% off coupon it's still going on. So 50% off coupon to give you that incentive to buy it and try it. So we have our Amazon PPC after we've built up our ratings and reviews with a big coupon. And what that does is it just gains velocity because people are getting a deal on this product. And we do the same thing for all of our products. We have 3 products that we're launching right now. 2 of them have a 30% off coupon. 1 of them has that 50% off coupon. And we just keep showing it in front of our audience. And the audience that we've built up over time, even if you have an audience of 1,000, they're still going to get that deal. But as your velocity increases, you're going to increase in the organic ranks as well. And then as you increase in the organic rank, people that are searching for just basic words will see that you have a big coupon and they'll take advantage of that coupon. There's not as much product loyalty on Amazon as there is on your website. But if you can get them on your product and show them how good it is, number one, come out with a great product, but get them on there with a coupon code, get them on your listing, sell them with the coupon code, and then get them to rebuy it. So we sell all consumables. So what I refer to as mostly consumables, but that's just because that's what we sell. But I truly believe that with Amazon PPC, you need to start that with at least a couple ratings and reviews with a big coupon code until you can get up to the review count of the leader in that space, or until you get to page 1. And so that's essentially our huge strategy in a nutshell. I'm sure you want to unpack a little bit of that. So I'll kind of pause here to see if you have like any comments or questions.
I do. I guess so. One will be just a real quick question and answer. So when you're talking about sending these coupons, I'm assuming they're in the groups that you have built, the email addresses that you built, and places like that. Like that's where you're releasing these coupons, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we're just releasing it to the audience that we've built already, but you can start building an audience with coupons. You can start building a deal site or something like that.
Yep. And then my other question would be when you were talking about the very beginning of getting reviews, did you say that Amazon helps you with the reviews in the beginning?
Yeah. So there's 2 programs called Amazon Vine, V as in Victor, INE, Amazon Vine, an early review program that will get you 36 reviews.
And basically you trade the product for reviews is what you're doing. Like they have a group that reviews them. They get a free.
Yeah. So the thing that they made illegal back in 2014 and 15, the thing that they made like you shouldn't do, they made it internal. So you have to pay them to do it now.
Smart.
Yeah. In typical Amazon fashion. And so then with Amazon PPC, we do something called keyword research, and we research all our competitors to find what keywords they're ranking for. And then we'll go after those similar keywords that are lower in search volume, not like the big keywords that they're going after. An example would be we sell sunglasses. Polarized sunglasses would be a big keyword. Polarized sunglasses for women that have UV protection would be a very small keyword, but it still gets some value. And so we'd actually go after that word instead of that big keyword. We'll eventually go after that big keyword when we have our review count up and our sales velocity that's starting to pick up.
Gotcha. So my next question, you're right. I want to unpack some of this. So the question would be the products. How do you pick the products, and do you actually make the products like the creams and stuff like that? Do you actually um, work with the lab or anything and design the product, or are you buying a product that's out there and then putting your label on it, or how's that whole process work?
Yeah, so both. So most of the time we do formulate our own products just because my wife and I have a background in optometry. And we work with the chemists usually at labs to kind of formulate something that's better for the eyes, or better for the eyelids is what we focus on a little bit more. And you can just do white label, but we always like to distinguish it just a little bit. So you can't just come out with another widget that has no distinguishing factor from this other one. So like an example would be turmeric. There's tons of turmeric out there, and every single one is the same. Turmeric with bioprene, turmeric with bioprene. What can you add to that to make it stick out a little bit more? Read the literature, read the research, or talk to a chemist, talk to a formulator. And most of our products are custom formulated, but we do have some products that are just off the shelf white label as well.
And then how much time do you put into your business?
So we actually calculated this not too long ago. I do 12 and a half hours a week. And then with the agency, I do about 15 hours per week.
Now, for everybody listening, because I know how people think they're like, that's all he works. How much did you work in the beginning on everything, getting it started?
I woke up at 5 a.m., worked until I left for my optometry practice at 9 a.m., would get home around 7 and work until I'd go to bed at 10.
Yeah, no, there it is. I mean, that's it. And I like how you hinted a little bit about the mastermind, and I'm sure the mindset is an important part of your strategy as well. Would you mind talking about your mindset and how you really work through everything and kind of make it all work?
Yeah. I laugh because we've been through more in the past 12 months than it seems like. 2017 was one of our most difficult years. We had a lawsuit come against us from a big multi-billion dollar pharmaceutical company. We actually won, but that was scary. It was not fun. We lost $150,000 in a day due to a coupon code gone wrong. We lost $40,000 trying to launch into Europe, and a couple other things happened that year. And mindset got us through it. This year, we've had a couple other big things go wrong, bigger things. I don't like to talk about them as much, just because one's on the personal side. Two are on the personal side, that we had a big loss in our family. And then, COVID happened this year, but overall COVID's been pretty good to us because more people are shopping on Amazon. But the last 3 months has been really tough. We've had 11 of our top sellers suspended on Amazon. So Amazon usually suspends one of your products, and then they come for blood. They come for all of your products. So we've got 10 of them back up. We just got another one suspended 2 days ago. So we've gotten through that. And it's funny, my team always says, we do appreciations on Thursday, and they always say, Travis, for being cool as a cucumber during this chaos. And it goes back to that mindset. So that is the biggest thing that I focus on every morning. So I wake up, I do a quick workout. Usually it's 250 of something. So push-ups, sit-ups, squats, something like that. So 250 of whatever. That gets my exercise in real quick in case I don't exercise later. And then I sit down and I meditate for 15 to 30 minutes. And, you don't have to meditate that long. You can start out with 1 minute. And what I think about during that time is I sit in silence. That's kind of number one. I'll do some affirmations. Just think about my affirmations that I have memorized. I'll do some visionaries. So where do I see myself in 5 years, in 10 years? Where do I see the business in 5 to 10 years? Where do I see my relationship in 5 to 10 years? Where do I see my children in 5 to 10 years? And then after that, I'll usually just go back to silence. I'll usually do some prayer in there. So some spiritual work. So 15 to 30 minutes of that. And then after that, I'll listen to a podcast or I'll listen to a book, and it's a book on leadership. It's a book on mindset. And I'm constantly talking to people that are either at my level or they're in the same business as me. So it keeps your mindset there too. So I also work on our mission. So our mission is to heal 1 million dry eye sufferers naturally in iLove. And then in the agency, we're trying to help 1,000 brands scale on Amazon to $1 million or more. And when you have those missions in mind at all times, when your product gets suspended on Amazon, it's not a big deal because the mission is so much more than that. Because I'm not going to get to 1 million dry eye sufferers naturally today or tomorrow or within the 3 months that this product's suspended, but I will get to it by 2030. And so when 2029 comes along, am I going to be remembering, oh yeah, I remember that like 3 months that we had like 11 products suspended? No, we're not going to remember that. It's going to be, in the past. I'll probably remember it and still talk about it just like I do 2017, but it's all in the past now. I don't even think about it. It's water under the bridge. I'll go over one of the personal things. So we had invested a lot of money, pretty much all our life savings from our practices from this into another business. And this is a friend of ours. And this friend we've known for 3 to 4 years. And he was operating a pretty sound business. And then he turned it into a Ponzi scheme. And it got shut down by the SEC. So we lost everything. And it was a legit business at the beginning. And he turned it into a Ponzi scheme the last 2 years that it was running. So we lost everything. And so that hurt. And to get through that was very tough, but we had something happen a month before that was even tougher. And it all goes back to that mindset. And if it wasn't for my meditation practice, if it wasn't for the mission that I have of bigger purpose of not just money, but helping people, I don't think we would have got through it. So that kind of is a long-winded answer to your question, but I hope that kind of hits home with somebody.
I think I appreciate the honesty first off. I think that's, it's really important. I think what I've tried to do with our audience is, we have a lot of young entrepreneurs that listen. And, I'm really, hey, here's my number if you ever need to contact me. And they do, from listening to the podcast, they'll call. And I think a lot of times where the conversation goes, of course, everybody always wants to know the questions, how do you get the money to start and stuff like that. But then the real question becomes the guys who ask, the young guys who ask, how do you, what do you visualize? What do you focus on? How do you meditate? Like, I think that when they start asking those questions, I know for myself, like that's where the real power comes from. And I think, there's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be things in your life that are just, struggles. There's so many different seasons. And I think that's what you're describing is there's so many different seasons that go on in your life. And then you have to have that systems and mental toughness to be able to weather through them, to get through the storm. So I think that's really, more important than where's the money going to come from to start my business is, you have to start working on you before you can really get into being successful. And I think that's where it was just really nice to hear the honesty. I think you could hear how sincere you were in your voice. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. And that this is going to sound funny, but the guy that ran the Ponzi scheme, he was a mentor of mine too for a while, for like 1.5 years. And genius business mind, and just really knows business really well. And he always told me that you're either entering a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. There's no in between. You're in one of those phases at all times. So you really have to work on mindset. Mindset is the most important part when it comes to running a business.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think one thing that I heard you say in there that I thought was really interesting was your appreciations you do on Thursdays. Could you talk a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah. So in our team meeting, we have this kind of basic structure of a team meeting on Thursdays of what are you going to do next week? What did you accomplish in the last 2 weeks? What's working in the business right now? What's not working? And then appreciations. And so appreciations, you cannot, this is my biggest pet peeve. I appreciate y'all. So I work with a lot of Southern people. I have 3 team members from South Carolina. So I appreciate y'all. And I was like, you can't do that. That's too broad. That's too generic. I need a name and what they did. And so like, I'll say, I appreciate my wife for taking my son to swim lessons, even though it has nothing to do with the business. I appreciated that. And I'll appreciate Ashley, who's one of my team members, for taking care of that wholesale customer and getting him to order $4,000 worth of product. And so it's very, very direct appreciations for something they did in the business. And what that does is it creates this positive mindset in our business and in our meetings. And it's bringing people up instead of just talking about all the issues in the business. Now we talk about those, that's in the what's not working section, but it's more of it provides inspiration for us all. And I even do that at night. I write down 3 gratitudes every night. And I also write down my affirmations. I write down, I am the CEO of a $100 million company because we help 1 million dry eye sufferers. I am the CEO of, or we help 1,000 brands scale profitably on Amazon. Have we helped 1,000 brands? No, we've probably helped close to 100, but the goal is there. I'm putting myself in those shoes. And then I also just kind of have affirmations of, thank you for my family of 5. Thank you for my 3 sons. Thank you for my health, my happiness. And thank you for my house that I live in now. Thank you for my Summit Lake house that I'm going to have in the future. Thank you for my private jet. So I'm kind of future projecting, but I'm visualizing myself in that too. So that's something I do at night. I write them down, but in the morning I visualize them and just kind of meditate on them.
How important is it tying emotion to when you visualize? When you're visualizing your jet or you're visualizing the lake house, do you tie emotion in there too, that you feel joy in those?
Oh yeah. So it's putting yourself in that position. That's the power of meditation too. If you can really get to that next level, you can feel yourself there, and you'll sometimes even forget that you're sitting on this cold bench, like meditating, because you're there. And if you've never experienced it, go do it. Go test drive that Lamborghini that you want. Don't get a Lamborghini, get a Ferrari, but go test drive that Ferrari if you want to see yourself in it, because then you'll sit in it. Go have coffee at the Ritz-Carlton to feel yourself in that hotel. Go do the picture session in the private jet, just to get in the private jet. It's just something simple like that. I've never done that, but it's something that, like, if you want to feel it and you want to know what it feels like, just go do it, but don't do it at the level of staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Go do the coffee shop at the Ritz-Carlton. Go test drive that Ferrari. They're not going to tell you no. It doesn't matter how old you are. They don't know who you are. And so just go do that experience that you're projecting. We go test drive Teslas all the time because we want a Model X. And so we just go do that, and you really get to feel it. And so don't only just visualize it, but go actually do a glimpse of it. And so that's what we do too, for fun.
Do you have a favorite visualization that came true? One where you were focusing on something and then it happened?
Yeah. I mean, I think I live my life every day. I wanted to retire. I used to visualize retiring by the age of 40 from optometry, and I did it by 33. And that was probably the biggest one. And the funny thing about that one was I went through 10 financial advisors at that time. When I actually went to a financial advisor, they all laughed at me. I said, I want to retire from optometry by the age of 40. This is when I was like 30. And they all laughed. And I was like, why is that funny? They're like, that's 10 years away. You can't do that. And I was like, why can't I do that? I see people retiring all the time at age 26. Why can't I do that at 40? And they're just like, you just can't do that. And so I finally found one that didn't laugh at me and gave me a game plan. And we retired in 3 years after I found him. So it was pretty cool to see that visualization come to life. And then just to see the growth of our community. And, I visualized even before we had our first person in the group. The group is what we started first in the dry eye syndrome support community. Before we saw that first member, I saw this thriving community, and that's come to life. And to see our business is multi-million dollars, if when we first started out, $1 million, our goal was 120,000 a year when we first started out, and we hit that in year 1. And then year 2, then we visualized $1 million company, and we hit that in year 2. And so be careful what you visualize, be careful what you ask for, because it can come a lot faster than you think. And now we run this multi-million dollar company, and every single step comes with challenges. So if you're just getting started, money may be the challenge, like you brought up earlier. Building that audience may be the challenge. But now that I'm here, there's a whole new set of challenges and the stakes just get higher. And so your mistakes, everything is just amplified by adding another zero to whatever dollar that you were spending back then. Add another zero or two, and that's the mistakes you make at this level. So you have to develop your mindset along the way. And right now what I'm struggling with is we bought a company in May, and it took us from doing about $7,000 to $8,000 a day all the way up to anywhere between 12 and 15. And with that becomes almost doubling of inventory, doubling of credit card bills, doubling. And so like I see the credit card every month. This has nothing to do with visualization, but just mindset. And I kind of panic because I'm like, how are we going to pay that? But then our business is now almost double in size since May. So now my mindset's trying to up level again to try to catch up. So it's kind of lagging behind right now, but it's getting there. It's closing the gap, but I'm still not there yet.
So when you bought another business, did you buy a competitor or did you buy a whole nother business?
Yeah, so it was actually a competitor and a client. So he came to us. He was doing about 30,000 a month on Amazon. We grew him to 60,000 a month and then 90,000 a month. And the problem we were having was cash flow. And so with growth comes inventory issues. And so we had to put money back into inventory, and then we had no money for ads because we were trying to catch up with the cash. And we couldn't do that. So we do 90,000 a month, then 30,000, and then 60,000, then 30,000, then 90,000. And so it was just roller coastering. Whereas in I Love, our brand, we had the cash to be able to support it. And so we actually bought him for $0. He actually got equity into our company, and he's an optometrist as well. So he fits right in, and we're able to keep that company in stock now. And it's now doing $100,000 and some a month, because we have the money to do advertising, the money to do inventory. But like I talked about just before, everything up leveled. And so instead of spending, $40,000 a month on ads, we're now spending 80,000. And so to get your mindset wrapped around that and catch your mind up to that, it was not a gradual jump. It was a big jump overnight instead of that gradual jump that like we're used to. So I'm still wrapping my head around that, but with every growth comes new challenges. And so the challenges you're facing now, if you can't handle them, you need to start working on your mindset.
So when you made the deal with zero money down, was it a part of where I think a lot of people think that you have to have all this money to buy a business. Isn't it true that sometimes people want to sell the business more than you actually want to buy it?
Yeah. And I don't know if that was the case with him, because I don't think he wanted to sell necessarily, but we were able to consolidate, and I was able to show this to him. We consolidated accounting, legal, and then management. And so we got rid of 3 big professional fees, and the only 2 fees that were left were inventory and ads. And we took those on as I Love, and we consolidated everything else. And that instantly added, $3,000 to $5,000 in profit a month. And then being able to stay in stock added a lot more opportunity costs and everything.
So you mentioned to me right before we hopped on today that one of your other superpowers that we haven't touched on yet is creating content. Could you talk about how you create content and what you're looking for when you create it?
Yeah. So there's one key thing to take away from this, and stop writing content on your product. Start writing content on the problem that your product solves. Nobody cares about the features of your product. Nobody cares about your product. They care about what your product does to help them. And so we write content around dry eyes, a condition called blepharitis, which is inflammation of the eyelids, meibomian gland dysfunction, which is again inflammation of the eyelids, styes are little eyelid bumps. That's the problem that our product solves. So we write articles and everything around that, and then we say, oh, by the way, we have this product. And that's the key thing with content. And the beautiful thing about it is 99% of businesses only care about their widget. Come buy my widget. Look how good my widget is. But less than 1% are actually going after these words. And so to give you an example, the word blepharitis, we're getting clicks to our blog for 1 to 5 cents. And that's huge. So we're spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day, getting people over to our blog to read a blog about blepharitis and how our product helps that. Even if they don't buy right then, enough buy when they first see that blog that it pays for the ads. And then the ones that don't buy, we then retarget them on Facebook with other articles around the same subject. And so it's a very simple concept. We create a article about the problem that our product solves. We drive cold Google traffic to it that are searching for it. So I write an article about blepharitis. I target blepharitis on Google Ads for 1 to 5 cents. That drives it to that blog post. In that blog post, it tells people to buy our product. There's enough people that usually buy the product on that blog post that it pays for the ad. But for those that don't buy it, we do a Facebook retargeting ad and to get them back on and back engaged. And by the way, we're trying to get an email from them, a push notification from them, trying to get them in the group, trying to get them to subscribe on YouTube. That all comes later down the road, but it's this flywheel, like I talked about earlier, this flywheel that can just start to accumulate. So for every 10 articles we write, 1 to 2 maybe hit really well, but the rest of them don't work. And so we do 1 per week. We've been doing this now for 3 years. And over that 3-year time period, we went from 100 blog visitors a month to now we get 150,000. And by this time next year, I'm hoping that it will be closer to 300,000. And it's all from just doing 1 thing per week, being consistent, being persistent. And so that's the simple content strategy that we follow. And now we're doing that for the agency. And we started doing that 1 year ago. We come out with something around Amazon ads, Amazon PPC, on a how-to guide. We drive Google cold traffic to it and YouTube cold traffic to it. We try to get them on an email list, and then we retarget them with other articles, get them in our ecosystem, because it's actually 2 very different businesses. Because in iLove, we're selling $20 to $50 products. Our average order value is about $65. Whereas in the agency, the average order value is closer to $10,000, depending on the size of the people that we bring in. But it's a monthly agency fee versus, just, and our consumables are monthly as well. But it's just a completely different mindset, because you got to spend more to acquire a customer and get a lead on the agency side than you do on the iLove side. So what problem does your product solve? Write about that, drive traffic to it.
I guess that was going to be my question was, so when you're talking about how to create the content and you're focusing on what problem does it fix rather than the widgets behind of how the product works, you do the same with the agency. You're focusing on the problems that your agency can fix more than saying, hey, this is the agency we are, this is how great we are, these are all the awards maybe we won or anything like that. You're focusing more on these are the problems we're going to fix for you.
Yeah. So we surveyed the people that are in our group and said, what's your biggest struggle with Amazon PPC? And there you go. That's your whole copywriting. So their ACOS is too high. Their average advertising cost of sales is too high. That's an Amazon specific term. So it's the reverse of a ROAS. So the ROAS is too low. They spend way too much time. They struggle on what to do next. They have no strategy. And so my whole sales copy around everything for the agency is around decreasing ACOS, increasing profits, decreasing time spent, and giving you an exact strategy that you need for Amazon PPC. And it was just from asking the people. And we do that with the dry eye side. What's your biggest struggle with dry eye? We actually ask that every week to our new members. What's your biggest struggle with dry eye? And they give us this laundry list of things. We usually get about 200 to 300 comments on that post alone. And we've built the content on our website to be around that. So now we can just say, check out this article and blog, or this blog and video. Check out this blog and video. We don't have to answer them individually. And if we have to answer them individually because we don't have a blog, guess what goes in the content calendar and goes into the blogging list? We add that to it.
Gotcha. I think the knowledge you've shared with us today has been fantastic. Where can people find you if they want to find more of you?
Yeah. So the place that I'm most involved in is, if you couldn't tell by now, is Facebook and YouTube.
Sure.
So if you're a young entrepreneur and want to reach out to me, my Facebook group is Amazon PPC Pros. That's where I answer most questions around entrepreneurship, and of course around Amazon PPC too. But you can send me a message on Facebook, facebook.com/DrTravis Dr. Travis Zigler. And then our agency website is profitablepineapple.com. So profitablepineapple.com. That's also where you can get our free Amazon PPC course. If you're selling on Amazon and you want to get that free course, you can head there to get that. Sorry, I can't say Profitable Pineapple without laughing. It just makes me laugh. And then I would encourage your viewers to just, we talked about the dry eye syndrome support community on Facebook. Go join the group. Just go join the group and see how we do things, and just kind of model that and just check it out. But yeah, if you go to profitablepineapple.com, and that whole website, there's only 3 of us that run that agency. We're all partners in it. And so when you email to the agency, it actually comes directly to me. So don't be afraid to reach out to me on Facebook or from that website.
Now it's time to solve the equation to Travis's success. This is where I get to ask you 7 rapid fire questions, the keys to your success. Are you ready?
I'm ready now.
All right, awesome. Best seminar or teaching you've ever been to?
So I go to SellerCon every year. It's the one that I've never missed, and it's all about selling on Amazon.
Favorite item you've bought recently under $100?
Oh, geez. It's always got to be like Expert Secrets book. I've been really digging into that, and that's probably my favorite book / that's probably going to be another question, but Expert Secrets book by Russell Brunson has been by far the most mind-blowing book.
Name an idol or hero of yours that you've met in person.
Oh, an idol or hero of mine that I have met in person. I'll say the celebrity that I met was Buster Douglas, and I met him, and it was cool to shake his hand and talk to him because he took down one of the greats. And it was just, I always like to be around greatness. I always like to follow like LeBron James and everything, but Buster Douglas was a fun one to meet and talk to because he took down Mike Tyson.
Favorite book to give as a gift?
Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson.
Something you do every morning before you brush your teeth?
I work out, do the 250 things that I talked about earlier, meditate, and then I check my email. Yeah, I'm one of those ones that checks it right when they get up.
Your personal mantra or favorite quote?
I always botch this up if I don't think about it, but it's live as if you were to die tomorrow, but learn as if you were to live forever. It's a Gandhi.
Place you go to decompress and reset?
To the top of the mountain. So I live in the hill country of Texas, and we live on a hill, but we're at the bottom. So I run to the top and I take in the view.
Travis, thank you so much for being on today and sharing your wisdom. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Nick, I appreciate you having me on.